The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.thebenjamindixonshow.com to register for our blog and join the Progressive Army. And now, ladies and gentlemen,
we are now about to witness the truth.
It's the Benjamin Dixon Show.
This is what happens when you do something a little bit different. I've got the whole gang here. Anoa, what's up?
Hello.
Brandon, what's going on?
I'm doing fine. How you doing, Ben?
I'm doing great, man. Well, actually, I'm terrified as shit about flying tomorrow, but that's neither here nor there. David, how's it going?
Thank you.
It's going well.
David,
I'm not on screen, but we're doing good.
All right. We'll be joined by Nick Nowlin shortly. We're going to do some live coverage of Obama's speech. We're going to give some live feedback, mystery. What is it, Brandon?
Mystery political science theater. Come on. Am I the one who watched MS3K? MS3, whatever.
No,
All right. So I believe Obama is already up speaking. So, David, if you could bring that to us live, that will be great. Here we go.
We're on live TV here. I gotta move. We're on live TV here. I gotta move. Come on.
Okay, I got you.
Can you put subtitles on?
You can tell that I'm. You can tell that. You can tell that I'm a lame duck because nobody's following instructions. Everybody have a seat. My fellow Americans.
I figured. That's why I actually put subtitles on so they could hear me talk over him.
Michelle,
they could also read him say
and
things.
I have been so touched by all the well wishes that we've received over the past few weeks. But tonight it's my turn to say thanks. Whether we have seen eye to eye or rarely agreed at all, my conversations with you, the American people, in living rooms and in schools, at farms, on factory floors, at diners, and on distant military outposts. Those conversations are what have kept me honest and kept me inspired and kept me going. And every day I have learned from you. You made me a better president, and you made me a better man. So I first came to Chicago when I was in my early 20s. And I was still trying to figure out who I was, still searching for a purpose in my life. And it was a neighborhood not far from here where I began working with church groups in the shadows of closed steel mills. It was on these streets where I witnessed the power of faith and the quiet dignity of working people in the face of struggle and loss. I can't do that. Now, this is where I learned that change only happens when ordinary people get involved and they get engaged and they come together to demand it. After 8 years as your president, I still believe that. And it's not just my belief. It's the beating heart of our American idea, our bold experiment in self-government. It's the conviction that we are all created equal, endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights, among them life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It's the insistence that these rights while self-evident, have never been self-executing. That we, the people, through the instrument of our democracy, can form a more perfect union. What a radical idea. The great gift that our founders gave to us. The freedom to chase our individual dreams through our sweat and toil and imagination, and the imperative to strive together as well to achieve a common.
Obama's a master at saying a lot without saying anything. It's amazing. It's all just incredibly vapid.
Our nation's call to citizenship has given work and purpose to each new generation. It's what led patriots to choose republic over tyranny, pioneers to trek west, slaves to brave that makeshift railroad to freedom. It's what pulled immigrants and refugees across oceans in the Rio Grande. It's what pushed women to reach for the ballot. It's what powered workers to organize. That's why GIs gave their lives at Omaha Beach, in Iwo Jima, Iraq, and Afghanistan. And why men and women from Selma to Stonewall were prepared to give theirs as well. So that's what we mean when we say America's exceptional. Not that our nation's been flawless from the start, but that we have shown the capacity to change and make life better for those who follow.
Actually, American exceptionalism is an imperialist narrative to justify manifest destiny,
Yes,
taking
our
away from the
progress has
people,
been
colonialism,
uneven.
blah, 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 blah. But whatever, man. Yeah.
The work of democracy
Whatever,
has
We're exceptional because we have freedom.
Right, he smoked his weed up. Whatever, man.
Sometimes it's been bloody.
I love Red Man.
For every 2 steps forward,
I love Red Man
it
too.
often feels we take 1 step back. But the long sweep of America has been defined by
It's just
forward,
platitude. It's so many platitudes.
a constant widening of our founding creed to embrace all, and not just some.
He just speaks to me in song with it.
If I had told you 8 years ago that America would reverse a Great Recession, reboot our auto industry, and unleash the longest stretch of job creation in our history, if I had told you
Low wage
that
service
we would
jobs.
open up a new chapter with the Cuban people, shut down Iran's nuclear weapons program without firing a shot, take out the mastermind
Wait,
of
did
9/11.
Iran have a new weapons program? When did that happen?
If I had told you that we would win marriage
Unmuted?
equality and secure the right to health insurance for another 20 million of our fellow citizens.
I was gonna say, let's take a vote. How many of you? Matter of fact, the Twitter audience,
told y'all
the
that,
YouTube audience, we
might
can
have
keep
said
covering this, or
the sights
you
were
guys
set a little
can
too high.
catch the highlight reels on the 10 o'clock news. How many of you
what
want
we
to
did.
skip this, or how many you want to keep watching this? Hold it. So you guys, David and
That's
Brandon,
what
and Anoa, what do
you
you
did.
think?
You were the change.
All right, we got one
You
agnostic.
answered people's hopes.
Anoa.
And because of you, by almost every measure,
Okay.
Listening to
America
Obama is
is a
like listening
better,
to really pleasant
stronger
background
place
noise. Like
than it
I just
was
kind of
when we
tune
started.
out and it makes me feel better, but nothing's getting into my head.
Well,
No
what-
information is being given.
Why don't we mute him and we give the commentary? Let's give the speech that Obama should give. How about that? And keep him on the screen
in 10
and
days,
mute him,
the world.
and then we could do the rest. Can you do that, David? Okay, great. All right. Now, only person I don't see on the screen is Brandon. Maybe it's my. All right. So Obama's giving his farewell speech. What is he not going to say? What is he? That's more interesting than what he's saying, because because he's not really saying a lot. I love Obama. Listen, I'm probably the only person in the room who actually is really fond of Obama, and I'm not going to let y'all.
That's not true. I'm not unfond of Obama.
You said you're not unfond of Obama?
That's not true. I'm not unfond of. I love Michelle.
Okay. Well, I said probably. So okay. So I was.
I'm also saying like that's not true. I love the girls. I mean, Sasha Malia, absolutely adorable. I love them. I mean, quite honestly, I love the symbolism that my kids got to see for 8 years, right? Like I've told the story before when Max was 4.5 and he was so obsessed with Barack. He called him Barack Obama because he couldn't say Barack Obama properly. And he dressed up as him for Halloween. So it's so you know, from that standpoint, it's as a parent, it's been really great. And my daughter got to grow up seeing bright little black girls growing up, being nice and staying out of trouble, unlike them little Bush girls ahead of her. So, you know, I mean, like as a parent, like that's been very cool. And Michelle is a regular girl. She goes to Target and she shops at J. Crew and like all that other good stuff. And she slips out of the White House and does her own thing. Like, okay, like regular working woman, holla. So no, I like the Obamas. I mean, I got issues with him though.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we all do. Well, no, that's the problem. We don't. Did y'all see the song? There was a guy who actually sang a song, like recorded an album or something about Obama. This white guy, his beard was fly. He had a nice beard. But I'm like, okay, it's just a little weird, like the hero worship. And I get it. I mean, I understand it, but it just crosses over into a little bit of weirdness.
I don't know. I think I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think Obama is a very dangerous president. Like he's very, very cool and charming and charismatic, and it's very easy to fall in love with him on a personal level and ignore his politics, ignore what he's done. And I think that we see that a lot now, where the people whenever you listen to people talk about the things that he did, and don't get me wrong, I agree with Anoa. I think that he, from a qualitative standpoint, he improved the lives and confidence of so many Black families, so many, in a way that we'll never know. We'll never know what the cultural impact of President Obama was in a real, measurable way. But from his quantitative elements, I think we can measure the things that we know for a fact that he did, that he didn't just sort of do by nature of being cool and Black, are very, very problematic. And a lot of people just seem to fail to come to terms with those things. They're I'm kind of glad that he's going. He's too cool. He's too cool for us. Like he's cool. He's cool and dangerous.
Push back on, right? Name me a president that isn't a dangerous president, right? In those measurable, tangible ways of them expanding the American empire, expanding the American capitalistic empire more than anything else, using the military to do so. I mean, name me a president besides Jimmy Carter who isn't. And Jimmy Carter had his spots where he was problematic, but name me a president who actually hasn't been dangerous.
Well, just because something is normal doesn't mean it's not problematic.
Yeah, I mean, still, but that's where I jump off the ship with most people, is because people make it seem like Obama has been this specialized threat, and he's been no more threat to the world than any other American president. The problem is the office of the presidency.
Well, I mean, he has done things that I would consider to be anomalous. Whether we can never know if McCain or Romney would have done worse or the same thing or better in terms of certain things, but we know he deported more illegal immigrants than any other president before him. He used the Espionage Act to prosecute whistleblowers more than any other president before him. He engaged in the I would say the dubiously lawful assassination of American citizens abroad with no due process. He did certain things that I would consider to be completely like those three things by themselves make me.
That's far from anomalous, though. That is, America has a trajectory, right? There's a trajectory, and as progressives, we're challenging that trajectory. We got a problem with the trajectory, but the Patriot Act was the entry, the gateway drug, if you would, that gave him all these surveillance powers. That was step one, like Act One. Was the Patriot Act underneath George Bush. Whoever the president is, and this is how we'll measure it. And I agree with you. I'm glad he's going, because we'll be able to measure it, because we're going to see Donald Trump conform in ways that he doesn't want to conform. But there is a momentum to the American government. There are powers. There's levers of power that pull and pressure the president to operate within a certain framework. And I think we're going to see the same exact thing, just the same trajectory, right? We're going to see an increase of that surveillance unless America, led by progressives, actually crushes something like the Patriot Act.
Well, I definitely agree with you. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. I definitely agree the office of the president, the military-industrial complex, the intelligence community, they all have their own inertia. They're all going to be, like, regardless of who the president is, they're all going to do their best to move forward. And it would take a gargantuan effort to move them back or to shift their course because that's just the way they've been structured. Right. And the way our government has been structured, for better, well, not for better or worse, but really for worse. But my fear is this when we talk about Trump is that I think that the person chanting a little bit earlier was like, I think he was saying 4 more years. I think she was saying 4 more years, 4 more years. And my fear is not the normalization of this stuff, because this stuff has already been normalized. My fear is the absolution of Obama's actual record because of Trump's overt, like, just anomalous behavior. Right. Like, and so, like, that's the problem. If you have people who are going to be
more dangerous out of office because of Trump than he was in office.
Yeah, you basically, you have people begging for the yoke of Obama's neoliberal policies to escape neo-fascism. You have people begging for, like,
Here's confirmation of that. People are longing for George W. Bush. People are longing for Ronald Reagan. So by all means, you know they're going to long for anything and everything Obama did and would have wanted to do. I mean, that's
the funny thing.
It's actually sad, right? It's really, really sad to see people who don't have a firm ability to say, okay, he's a nice guy, I like him, don't have anything against him except for his politics, right? And then because they look at it as I mean, we say this all the time, right? It's a team sport. We have people who just, anything the Democrats do is fine, anything the Republicans do is the devil, and so it opens a gateway to that type of behavior you're describing.
Well, I also think it's hard. So I think it's hard for people to actually hold those two disparate thoughts in their head. And that's why they tell journalists you shouldn't go to these parties, you shouldn't become friends with these people, because it's very hard to say, well, from a personal standpoint, I like him. I like Obama. I think he's cool. I think he could, I want to get a drink with him. He could probably school me in basketball and steal my girlfriend. But
and black surf on the White House lawn. I mean,
and then also have this idea in your head, like, well, his policies are very, very problematic, because eventually you start special pleading for him. You go, well, I'm sure he must have had a good reason. Like, that's Barry. He must have had a good reason. Like, I know Barry. Did you see that Jay he made last week? It was crazy. Like Barry wouldn't assassinate people. It's like,
and I agree with you 100% there. I agree with you 100% because it's so easy to do when you feel like you have this personal connection to and quite frankly, like, I see the office of the presidency as this anomaly in and of itself. Obama probably has done things that he did not want to do, but it's completely irrelevant. He still did them. So I'm really fascinated in seeing what the next guy is going to do and how he conforms and see how he operates. And I think America's going to be, this is what we do so well. We act as though the world changed so drastically, like the end was coming. And I guarantee you 4 years from now, unless Trump actually has a breakdown, 4 years from now, we would have progress on the same exact trajectory that Ronald Reagan put us on in 1981. We haven't really diverted from that trajectory in since then. In my thoughts, Nick, you're over there quiet, because I think Nick might be the one who has some choice words for Obama. What do you think about Obama's and his legacy, X, Y, and Z, everything else we've been talking about?
Yeah, I mean, there's something that comes to my mind. It's just like, just because somebody, has a similar skin tone to you doesn't mean they can't screw you over. And so I don't know him. I don't know Barack Obama. All I know is the manufactured image that they put up on TV to show me. And because I understand that, I can only evaluate him based off of what I expect from that position. So, viewing politics as an exchange, I'm looking for, okay, you're in this powerful position and you have leverage to do certain things, and it's my responsibility to judge you based off of how I feel you're representing me or a group that I care about, or issues that I care about, how you're representing that. And when I think about it in that way, I think Barack Obama has definitely been a huge letdown. That's not to say that some other president would have done better, but I'm saying that
he was the president, so it's his.
He was the president, and just along with the rest, he did, a miserable job on that regard. And since I don't know him, I don't have a personal connection, so I don't give him points for that end. So I'm only going to judge him based off of his basically what he's achieved in the office.
So you're immune to Obama's allure, and this is kind of what Brandon was talking about. But there's got to be somebody in your life where you're like, I don't know them personally, but I'm a fan of them. Like,
whoa, wait, hold on. Nick wasn't always immune to Obama's allure. This is a he fell for the trap, and now he's a little bit salty about it.
Oh yeah, well you know what? Look, I'll be the first person to tell you when Barack Obama was running. I had just finished reading Overthrow. I was like, oh my God, America's so evil. We really got to turn this ship around. And I looked at Barack Obama and I was like, okay, this will be my first chance to see a progressive president really try to, move the pendulum in the other direction. And then when he got in there, as soon as he announced his cabinet, I was like, oh, that's done.
Yep.
I just threw my hands up.
See, I'm glad, to know that, because and I managed. So I have this horrible ability to compartmentalize, particularly with American politics, because I know what America is. I know what it's going to do. I know the trajectory we're on, and that now person is really able to change that. It's going to really take the people. It's going to take a real revolution to change our trajectory. So I've been able to compartmentalize like my fondness of Obama and the fact that his politics are shit, because his politics are almost identical to Republicans. Once you throw away all the spin of all the 24-hour news cycles, we're not really doing much different than we would have done underneath the Mitt Romney in many ways.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, this whole conversation we're having about Obama and the affinity, and basically it's something what both Brandon and Nick said, all skin folk and kinfolk, and but Black people, because there has been so much degradation and oppression and stuff, when we see someone who does well, we want to make them representative of everything, right? And that's why there's such an visceral response when something negative either happens to dethrone someone, or there's such a visceral response when someone shuns us. Like, just even thinking back to like Tiger Woods, when Tiger Woods went through that whole thing where he wasn't Black, he was Caucasian, kind of like Brandon.
Please.
But like
serious. That's what I was like. Boy, if you didn't have however $150 million and you were just a brown guy on the streets of Brockton and Roxbury, Massachusetts, you would be Black.
But even like with Michael Jackson, like Black people was dying for Michael Jackson's attention, and Michael Jackson wasn't trying to be Black again until all of a sudden that I forget whatever that record was that wasn't doing well, like in his later years. Then all of a sudden he's Black. The music industry is against Black people stuff. So it's like we have this real pathological, almost abusive relationship with people who like make it. Yeah. And this idolization and this need to belong. We put all our hopes and dreams. Like someone had a post earlier about how like we're so busy celebrating excellence that we don't actually spend the time to set the standard of what excellence should look like for us in our communities. And I think that's so true. I think that because we have experienced what we have experienced in this country historically, we do have this tendency to give people too much leeway. Same thing with the Black Miss Leadership class, right? We have decades of so-called Black leadership that we have allowed to engage with us in the way that we have because there are Black leaders, and we ignore and disregard stuff that we wouldn't take from anyone else, but hey, they're Black and they're from us and we got to support them no matter what. And I don't buy that. Like I definitely believe in increasing and supporting, strong Black leaders, but at the same time, they need to actually be about the work, about the people, about the community. They can't just be about, being blackface neoliberal agents.
He looks, I don't know what the hell he's saying, but he looks like he's saying something so serious and so important. It's probably...
Yeah, whatever. One thing else I wanted to say, when he was like how much he's so believed about a movement of the people, and how he's really believing the people rising up and the people like taking, the country and stuff. I'm like, that's such horseshit, because you just helped, and you have continued to try to crush and subdue exactly that, right? Like, this is what should have been a natural outgrowth of what OFA should have been years ago. And you sided along with the political machine of the elites to crush us. You all have sat around and allowed people like David Brock to exist in your midst and play the dirtiest of the dirty politics. But yet, and still somehow I'm really supposed to believe that you actually believe in grassroots, people-driven movement and building power? That don't even make any sense. That don't even jive.
Well, I mean, at a certain point, we have to acknowledge that the Democratic Party itself, like what it demands from people who exist within it, is very problematic. I mean, even last night at Bernie Sanders' town hall meeting, he had to pay lip service to that Russia thing. And he like, and it was so out of place. I don't think anyone really wanted to hear it, but he had, like, in the beginning it was very quick, yeah, because I think we can all agree Russia did it, blah 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 blah. Can we talk about the issues now? And it's just like, it's that kind of demand that you, like, if you're gonna work within our party, if you're gonna help our party, if you're gonna be a member of our party, that you have to pay lip service to these sort of myths and whatever we say, like, whether it be we need corporate money, or we need, or the Russia, or enable this Russia narrative even before we see substantive evidence. It becomes problematic. It's like, okay, well, if this is what the structure demands to work within it, if you have to do these things to have a chance of success, or even to be allowed your foot in the door, is it really worth it?
No.
Is it worth it?
But I don't know if that's the issue of Bernie needing to pay lip service and do what Democrats need him to do, or as much as he and his people, he just don't have the right people still on his team, right? Because, like, he'll say that, like, okay, yeah, I can see that, let's get back to the issues. That's like a standard line of his. It's like, insert blank.
No, do it.
Yeah. Now let's get back to the issues. Like, he just has that, like, standard, like, okay, yes, concede the point and get out the way. It's not even like, to me, it's like he's not even paying attention. They're not listening. And he has a lot of very out of touch people who still work for him, because or he has out of touch people who used to work for him, right? They think sucking up to the likes of David Brock is actually going to curry them favor and do something, when it's like, you're just really putting yourself out there and looking kind of stupid. And the problem continues to be that Bernie Sanders is going to continue to be the titular head of this quote unquote movement, but it's going to be very limited, and it's not going to be able to grow because they have not been able to move past the same problematic, verbal interactions in the way he speaks. He lacks nuance still when he talks, and he does things like that. There's no reason, like, there's a way to handle that without giving credence. Because I saw people responding to the interview I did last night with Nick Branna, and people were like, well, I'm not interested in this idea because of what Bernie said about Russia last night. And it's like, if you actually listen, it's less about Bernie and more about building a viable third party. Right. But that Russia thing, it turns people off because it's still not sound, and it's disheartening to hear come from him. So I don't know that he's kissing the ring. I don't see that happening. I just think that he just.
I'm not talking about kissing the ring. I think I'm not talking about kissing the ring. I just think that Bernie Sanders and the Russian narrative are part of the same problem. Is that people going out of their way to enable the Democratic elite, and again, even if in, like, it. At best, it's duplicitous, because out of one side of your mouth, you're saying, okay, yeah, she didn't campaign in Wisconsin. Okay, yeah, NAFTA. Okay, yeah, the Democratic Party is kind of out of touch. Okay, yeah, we listen to the bubble. But Russia. And it's like, even if you could, like, conceding that she would have lost anyway, and that her campaign had problems, and then harping on Russia for another 20 minutes, like, it comes across as, well, duplicitous. It's like you're trying to have your cake and eat too. You're trying to talk to the left, but also talk to the elite. You're trying to have your cake, like, either acknowledge that there was a fatal flaw in Clinton as a candidate, and that fatal flaw in Clinton is indicative of a fatal flaw in the Democratic establishment, or go full bore with the Russia thing and lose again. Like you can't play both sides on this one. Like, it becomes, well, is it or is it not entirely Russia's fault? Is it or is it not entirely Clinton's fault? And Russia had very little, they didn't have the kind of sway that they either tried to have or didn't try to have.
If we could listen, I'm the hawk amongst the group, right? And this is relative. I'm not a Hillary Clinton hawk, but I'm definitely not a peace at any cost guy. I think we should actually hold whoever it was, hold their asses accountable. But we can't do that because the Democrats are using this as a scapegoat for them losing. And so we can't adequately even focus on the intelligence, if there even is any intelligence, because all the Democrats want to do is spin this as a way of attacking Donald Trump, who I think is a piece of shit. However, it's like we can't see the forest for the trees because the Democrats are just so obsessed with blocking Donald Trump from inauguration. Like this, did they actually think this was going to stop him from getting into the White House after the election? I think some of them did. And it's because of that type of thinking that we can't even look at the data or the intelligence about whoever it was, Russia or Costa Rica. I don't care who it was.
Well, it's also because they're pointing to the wrong damn people too. You're blaming Abby Martin. You're blaming, based on information that's not even
recent release that was Russia Today. Yeah.
You're blaming Abby Martin, and then you're blaming, I forget the other young woman. There's another young woman that has some affiliations with hackers in that part of the world, and she does work though for security agencies, and like she's had mixed issues because she was named, and she's like, I didn't have anything to do with this, and she's like, on one hand, it's been some notoriety from being on the list, but then on the other hand, it's kind of blocked her from being able to do business as well. Like, you're messing with people's livelihood because you just carelessly, tossing people's names around and stuff, and that's a problem.
Yeah.
Let me come in on what you said there, Noe, where you said you're not sure if it was kissing the ring or not. I do believe that the Democratic Party does require people to carry some sort of line.
I don't disagree. I don't think Bernie's doing that though.
I think it might be a mix. I think, maybe he believes that kissing the ring is what he's supposed to do. Maybe the people are advising him that he should kiss the ring as some sort of strategy to get something, later in return. I'm not 100% sure on it, but the effect, what he effectively does, regardless of what his strategy is, it comes off as basically him kissing the ring. Because in the end, he toes the line.
It's a good point. It's the same exact thing that we saw with Keith Ellison with that ridiculous letter on BDS with his with everything that he's done, that he just took this right return on his politics. I think that's 100% about kissing the ring and doing what he has to do for the power structure inside the Democratic Party. And I'm not saying that as an excuse for them. I'm saying that as an example of, what you said, Brandon. Like, at what point are you paying too high of a price even for entrance?
And at what point do we start saying that, okay, Bernie Sanders, Keith Ellison are, by constantly speaking out for the party, are simply enabling them? It's like, at what point do do they have to be held responsible? Like, okay, you're just enabling the party. At what point do you say, if they're going to still elect Nancy Pelosi and Steny Hoyer and Chuck Schumer, if they're going to still play these games, and Bernie is going to out there and advocate for them at some point, then I have to say he's enabling them. I do think that we are at some point being a little too hard on the IC, the intelligence community, for their report. I really enjoyed the last two IC 6th grade book reports. I mean, to be fair, their last one, how the Russians stole the election, was not as good as their first one on Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. But I'm looking forward to their third one. I'm seeing, they have a lot of promise.
Yeah, it was. I was going to ask which one is more embarrassing, this or the Kenneth Starr report. I don't know if any of you are old enough to remember that. But I think the Kenneth Starr report is still more embarrassing because of how long that was drawn out for like a year. This Russia thing has been like what?
Well, apparently with this release about the Russian prostitutes and video, I don't understand why people are sitting around watching alleged video of Trump getting peed on by Russian prostitutes. Like, I'm trying to understand what's wrong with people. Like, I mean, I really, did Putin, I'm trying to understand, what does this have to do with anything? And are we also shaming sex workers in the process? Like, I really have a problem with liberals right now. Like, they're just so damn desperate and looking for any little thing. And it's like, look,
they're two-faced. I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt you.
Yeah, no, you're right though.
I find it gross because they were the same way about I have no idea what Melania Trump and her softcore pornography. Like, this group of ostensibly feminist thinkers who are intersectional, though they hired David Brock again, one of the biggest scumbags in the world. They feel so comfortable kink shaming people and shaming sex workers and I wouldn't call Melania a sex worker, but she did softcore porn.
Don't do that. We don't need to get sued by her.
Yeah, they know, she's not a sex worker. But shaming women for their bodies, they feel very comfortable doing these things because as liberals, as the Democrats, they have taken on this. They quote unquote won the culture war. So basically, as long as you put a D by your name, you can be as sexist and racist as you want because it doesn't count.
They got like a cloak of righteousness or something on them. I don't know what that's about.
If they're willing to throw it, they're willing to throw it aside so quickly that it just completely invalidates anything they've ever said, right? Like, if you're okay with Bill Clinton and his sexual proclivities and you try to redefine our cultural norms today to match something that would excuse Bill Clinton, then how do you not do the exact same thing? Like it's the lack of consistency, and it is 100% connected to our hyper partisanship. And there's really, I don't know if there's any way to avoid that unless you find people who are genuine and not hypocrites.
I just don't think they see it as a lack of consistency. I think they literally see it as, I'm a Democrat. My party was headed by Hillary Clinton. Therefore, intrinsically, essentially, nothing I do can be sexist or racist. And they have, in the Democratic Party, the establishment has,
I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but this is something I read in the chat room. They weren't calling Anoa out, but I'm going to call Anoa out. Anoa, you were just talking about body shaming, right? Hello. Anoa?
I was.
Yeah, so what? And yes, I called Jennifer, what's her face, a big body. What did I say? No, I said she built like, I said she's an ill-built, boxy bitch. Yes, I did say that, and that's my opinion. So what? Like, here's the thing though. No, it's not the same thing, because I'm not walking around attacking her. She ain't no sweat. She ain't losing no money off of me. I'm not going around attacking her because I can't stand her husband or anything. I don't like her because she's a bad actress, and I can't stand Katniss. Like, I wish Katniss died. I wish Sookie died too. No, I like Buffy though.
I just wanted
like Buffy. I'm about to go full Buffy on David Brock's ass whenever we get to that segment.
Wanted to hear you say ill-built bitch again. I just wanted to hear you say that.
She is an ill-built bitch. You want to hear me talk about how what's her name? Your girl commodified fugliness too?
No. I want to talk trash about David Brock for a second. Because David Brock, the acceptance of David Brock back again onto the left by people who have very
back again. They never unaccepted him.
But I mean, what's their name? But the acceptance of David Brock is example of why the Democrats keep losing to the Republicans, because they refuse to take a hard line stance on these things, and then they wonder how Trump can win but still be a sexist, because the Democratic Party has never taken a hard line stance on sexism. They've never taken a hard line stance on racism. They've never said these things are non-starters. They've always sort of dabbled in it themselves, and so they can't make them non-starters. And then it makes them look like hypocrites. Because every time, and we saw this at the debates, every time someone brought up Trump's sexual assaults, they would bring up Bill Clinton's, and it was like, okay, it just muddies the water. At a certain point, the Democratic Party is going, and I hate to be like, because I'm sure I'm going to get critics being purist or whatever, but at a certain point, you have to draw a more red line for yourself and say, okay, David Brock, you're sorry, that's great, but if you're really sorry, leave. Because your presence here devalues the party. We appreciate your apology. You're a millionaire. You don't need to be here. Go somewhere else.
I don't appreciate his apology. His apology is not a real apology. His apology is a marketing scheme. He's Madoff. He is the Madoff of media. Okay, he is trying to use, influence. I'll shout out to People for Bernie. Shout out to Winnie Wong. When that went up earlier today, Winnie posted, she goes, they will not have access to our real estate, because People for Bernie has a massive network and reach. I think they've touched like 1 billion. I mean, their reach is insane, and that's really what they're trying to do. Because the Clinton campaign has actually been trying to get to a lot of when we talk about Bernie folks in the social media world, that's prime real estate, and they've been trying to get at us in various pages and groups and stuff since the primary ended, right? And so he is trying very hard to line people up and to soften the blow. And we all got to fight Trump. Dude, how stupid do you think we are? I know who the hell you are. Like, I know who you are. Ain't nobody. We not breaking bread with roaches. Like,
but see, that's the thing, though. And I responded to the initial tweet about him apologizing this exact same way. And then you have to realize that apologies only matter or mean something if the person or thing apologizing has the ability to feel shame or has pride or any of those real human emotions. Apologies from corporations and political operatives don't mean anything. They are void of merit and void of actual repentance, because these people don't have shame, because apologizing is largely, like you said, a marketing tool. It's a marketing tool, because if they don't apologize, they can't keep doing it. It doesn't cost them anything to apologize, but it does cost something to not apologize.
Particularly when he was just blaming millennials and everybody else for why they didn't do anything. When he sucked, he failed. Like, as a propaganda machine, he did nothing but make people hate his candidate. Him and Peter Dowell and the Hillary Men and Share Blue Nation Review. That whole media, what is it called?
Why it's Share Blue and Blue Nation Review? But
no, what's the watchdog? It's Media Matters, right? Media Matters, like all that stuff. Correct the Record, Media Matters, all that stuff, like whatever. It's a mess, and he's trying to be positioned as this new progressive media voice. There's a whole piece about how he's going to build the Breitbart of the left. Pause. Breitbart, we're already blasting Breitbart for being quote unquote fake news. Why the hell do we want a left version of that?
I couldn't believe he actually. But here's the problem with them. This is why he failed as being a propagandist. Is that he wasn't smart enough to realize you cannot fight the left. You can't fight progressives. You can't crush us and expect us to get in line. You notice how they were ingratiating to conservatives, to Republicans. They could not even bring it within themselves to be remotely ingratiating to progressives, even after the primaries are over. So it's this thing about Democrats. They have always been able to fight the left, and they've always wanted to run and embrace the right. And this is why he can't. He's completely incapable of turning around and doing something differently at this point, because he is the perfect stooge, the perfect propagandist to continue taking the Democratic Party further and further into the arms of the Republican Party, because he doesn't know what to do with the left except fight us. Because that little pittance of an apology or whatever that was supposed to be, that really didn't address anything. Any of the long-standing issues that we have that David Brock has put on his CV, we got a problem. He didn't address any of them. So I'm surprised.
Well, I don't even care if he addressed any of them or not. Like, I don't care.
I have a question.
On the strength of Anita Hill, I don't give a shit. Like,
I have a question.
Could people who are really sorry, here's a pro tip. If people who are really sorry, they leave.
Yeah. No, come on, wait a minute, Brandon. You making it seem like, he's not getting paid. You don't say you're sorry and then cut off your money. Like, this man is a mercenary and he's getting paid, so he's going to do whatever they pay him to do.
He's not even a good mercenary. He's like an assassin.
No. He's a merc for hire, but he's not like, it's not like someone's directing him to do something. That's the guy that you slip the envelope to, that you nod your head and they just take care of whatever it is. You don't need to know plausible deniability. He's the plausible deniability guy.
Right.
He's the one that's having the messaging meetings and stuff like that, and it's very, very dangerous. But really, I'll go one further. That whole little pitiful apology shit, that was to flush people out. David Brock actually did us a good service, because people who jumped on that whole, come to the Feel the Burn family.
Well, it wasn't.
Feel the Burn wasn't even made up by the campaign. You appropriated language.
You know what it is? Like,
go on, boo. A lot of people. Go on. You're going to lose that vice chair position anyway.
A lot of people are incredibly slow, and they need a lot of validation. Yes. No, they're incredibly slow. They need a lot of validation, and nothing makes people feel more validated than when their enemies tell them that they're right and that they want to join their team. Now we people were celebrating Kissinger a few months ago. Like Kissinger, like people on the quote unquote left were celebrating Kissinger. Yes. Yeah, 2 months ago they were celebrating Kissinger, and like you said, like they're celebrating George Bush. We now have a weird situation where Democrats, not even just the establishment, but just your rank and file Democratic voter, were celebrating George H.W. Bush, the quote unquote someone who's declared a war criminal by us most of us a few months ago, because he embraced Obama and he wanted to vote for Clinton, while at the same time these same people are still shaming Ralph Nader for running against him. And so you have people who are shaming Ralph Nader but embracing George W. Bush.
It's exactly what I said. They don't know how to fight conservatives, because they ultimately want to be economic conservatives. That's what their goal is. So they don't have a game plan to fight them. They have a game plan to triangulate with them. Their focus has been for the last, at least since Bill Clinton, right? Their focus has always been on putting the left in check. And so I'm surprised that, to shift gears on conversation, I'm surprised David Brock actually is. That shows you how much of a slime ball he is, that he actually feels entitled enough to put his face back in public and say, I want to be in charge of something on the level. Like he
never left public, though. That's what I'm saying. He never left public. He's
been the man behind, the wizard behind the curtain.
Right. That's what I'm saying. He's never left the public. He was at a special retreat meeting thing or whatever, and he's holding some other one to kind of figure out what to do. Like, he's still in them circles. And here's the problem. we can't break bread with you. Like I'm gonna be real. Like I love and support my folks who are Dem re-enter and all that other good stuff, the reformists. I love you. I believe in you. More power to you. I'm not breaking bread with you people though.
But I mean,
like,
that's right.
like Democrats, I'm not breaking bread with Democrats. You keep letting slime. You keep letting slime in your midst. I'm sorry, we can't do nothing.
I want to see him jump through hoops and hurdles and still reject his ass. Yes. Listen. I want to see him grovel. I want to see him, and then we still push him out the door, right?
No,
like
but see,
that's the way.
Hang on one second. The problem isn't him. The problem are the people, the many people who are lined up ready to bring him back into the fold, right? And you're right, Anoa. He did do us a service because it was so quick. People are just like, okay, yeah, let's bring him back. Those are the people who are the real problem, because if we isolated him, yes, he has a whole lot of money, but money doesn't have to translate into influence if the people who are actually running shit do not allow him to come back in. But you could see, as soon as he said, oh, I'm sorry, you had people open up their arms and say, come on back in, David Brock. And he has been a American problem since 1991. I'm trying to think how old this motherfucker is, because isn't it time for him to retire just like the Clintons?
He's scary looking.
We're making the assumption that, like, you know, this isn't all just, you know, high level kabuki theater just to, like, you know, for him to be seen coming back into the fold. All that stuff is just, you know,
he never left the fold. Why did everybody keep saying coming back in? He never left the fold.
I'm saying the kabuki theater, like he's coming back into the fold.
Like Media Matters has been around for over 10. Like they've been laying the propaganda and the groundwork for at least a decade now. Like he's never been out of the fold. People are just now paying attention.
But it's just a pretense. Like, it's a pretense. They're just putting on a show. It's like, whatever.
Even this whole positioning, like I don't know if any of you saw the Vanity Fair piece, and especially considering like what we do, it's so important to push back on this false narrative that somehow this man is what we need to help lead progressive media and progressive voices. Like the fact that he's even being called progressive is like, this is the type of shit that makes me want to like find a new word.
This is what I meant, though. This is what I mean by coming back into the fold. I'm actually talking about into the fold of the actual left, progressivism.
He's never been a part of the left.
He's never been. Okay. Of course he hasn't, right? But he is trying to position himself right now, today, with that letter, reaching out to Bernie Sanders, with his Vanity Fair piece, and with people, these people who work for Bernie Sanders now openly embracing him. They're trying to pull him in as though he's the actual left, and that's why I don't believe he has the nerve to do that. I shouldn't expect anything less from a slime ball like that.
But this is the weird thing. Like they keep, like everyone who worked on the failed Clinton campaign is now failing upwards. It's like they're treating David. They're treating David Brock. They're treating David Brock and the people who failed the Clinton campaign. They're putting him in the DNC war room as though they are key assets in the fight against Trump. It's like, why? It's like why do we need David Brock? Like forget whether or not, because if he was actually useful. Like if he was the kind of assassin who could get things done, it's just like the only thing, he's just a bully. Like he is just simply a bully, and he's not even good at it.
I don't even know if he's not even a bully so much as he is a well-connected, rich troll. Like he's not even strong in the sense that he could be categorized as a bully. He just plays these political games that end up backfiring. I mean, think about how many people has he gotten elected?
I've watched you grow up.
None, right?
We don't know.
How many people whose career has he destroyed? Because I'm still salty as a little girl remembering what he did to Anita Hill. So
yeah, starting all the way back, like I said, he's been a problem since '91, and not the Obamas, but the shit might as well be the Obamas, the Clintons. Over, you know, he got rejected by the religious right because he's gay, LGBTQ, so he obviously couldn't stay a Republican, and that's what brought him over to the Democratic Party, and it was a perfect fit. Somebody said this on Twitter. It was like, you know, I asked, has he ever apologized for being a Republican shield, conservative shield? And the fact of the matter is, he's still a conservative shield because he aligned himself with the most conservative Democrat that we.
I don't care about if he was a conservative shield. I care about the decimation of Anita Hill's character just for the sake of him writing a damn book
But
and
let me
then
tell
some.
you, Noah, I
Like,
care about him being a conservative shill.
I don't give a shit about that. What I care about that, and I care about Condoleezza Rice's ass talking about sessions today. That's. I mean, be a conservative shill.
But here's the thing: if you can't, I'm sorry, just the people. A lot of people are talking about the ways in which that. A lot of people are talking about the ways in which the Democrats are describing Jeff Sessions. He's amiable. He's friendly. He has a nice wife and kids.
Nice.
He's so nice smile. Honestly, that's the exact same thing we were just talking about President Obama. And like if you can't understand, like, and this is, you got to take off the blinders here. It's like we live in a world of this respectability politics. This like is reckless civility, and the same critical thinking that people are applying to Jeff Sessions right now when it comes to his past, because of the fact that he dresses nice and he speaks well and he has a smile and nice family, is the exact same like lack of critical thinking people are applying to President Obama. And so you have to understand that this goes both ways. It's not just Jeff Sessions is the worst person. Look at all the racism. Like let's also delve deeper into our politician. I mean, not he's not my politician, but you know what I'm saying. It's like if you can't understand the critiques that people are lobbing at Obama, if you think that they're so unfair, but then you on like the other hand, you can't understand how people in Congress are not treating Jeff Sessions worse, then you're part of the problem, because then you are being a hypocrite, or you're being purposely obtuse because you're doing the same thing.
Part of the problem, and part of the problem, right? Because it's go ahead, Nick.
I was gonna say I agree with you, like what you're saying, where they end up talking about things like, well, he's a nice guy and things of that nature. I don't care what his personality is like when you meet him. I'm never gonna meet the man. My only interaction with him are going to be my interaction with the policies that he is a part of implementing, and we have to view it.
But that's not everyone. I think so. When we talk about the policies that President Obama implements, I mean, not to our fans or people who watch this show, because like they're a little bit savvier. But we talk about him like the regular person, like all they want to tell you, like, but he has nice. But look at his kids, Malia. Well, Malia Obama, Michelle Obama. She's so nice. Like it's so built. This sort of like physiognomy is so built into our political structure that if you simply speak the right way and use the right words and you look nice, you have a nice family, then you can get away with murder. But at a certain point, people only recognize it when it's on the other side, or when it's done excessively.
Brandon, you fail to realize that's 100%. And I'm not saying, what I'm getting ready to say is no excuse for Obama, but what has America always been? America has always been getting away. They've always been the wrap ourselves in Christianity, wrap ourselves in a damn flag, wrap ourselves in all these lofty ideals of our founding fathers, and consistently gotten away with mass murder, not just a little. We're talking about genocide. So this is an American tradition that goes back to the founding of our nation. My question is, like, what do you expect?
Well, okay, so for me, from my perspective, I don't have an answer to that question, but I'm airing my frustrations because it's so frustrating to watch people attack the excesses of the system. It's so frustrating for people to attack the excesses that Trump represents, because Trump is not racism. Trump is an excess of a racist system. Jeff Sessions is an excess of a racist system. Same with the KKK, same with police brutality. These are all excesses of these racist and sexist structures. And instead of just going, okay, yeah, Trump is an excess, he's a symptom, but he's not the problem. He's indicative of the worst this gets to be. They simply define the whole problem as Trump. The whole problem is Trump. Like, Trump basically invented racism.
Really, that last part, everything else you said, I agree 100%, right? But that very last part, that's just because we play politics like we play football. You pick a team, and no matter what, you'll always make excuses for why.
I don't like sports.
Well, this is, I don't know, MMA. Well, you don't like any sports. I don't know. You pick a weightlifter, and I don't know how to make this relate to you, Brandon, but the rest of the audience, they get the football team. I'm sorry.
Look, I want to say it's incumbent, because of that point that Brandon just made. It's incumbent upon
I hate to cut you off, man. Your audio just got really bad, like real quick. It was good.
See, it's this stupid microphone. We need to start hitting them up, because Nick has the same one I do, don't he? Like, yeah.
Special
I think it's the cord. The cord is janky as fuck. Nick, and it takes them forever to send you a new one.
You got a blue microphone, Blue Yeti?
No, so like I was saying, it's like like we talk about Trump as though he is the totality of the problem, when really he is just an excess of the problem. And it becomes very easy to to identify that as being problematic, but we can't. But at a certain point, we are absolving the actual problem with its excesses. Like, and I said, like, you have people begging for Obama, you have people begging for Clinton to be president, you have people you have Meryl Streep heartbroken that Clinton was not elected, when people just don't seem to be able to see, like you said, the forest for the trees.
Brendan, here's the deal, right? I agree. Like, I think you were and honest, if I was going to be honest with my intellectual precursors, you brought that to the table for the Benjamin Dixon Show, right? The excesses of the system versus the systematic problem of the system. However, you do realize people are comfortable. Like, this is going to be the craziest analogy I ever give you. Can you tell that we are literally falling right now? Can you feel that we're falling through space right now? Can you feel gravity? Because you get comfortable with it and you never notice it because it's completely around you, it's surrounding you, and you don't even notice the system itself. If you're talking about getting people and waking people up outside of just being upset at the excesses, they don't even see the system. They don't even believe there is a system. They just think this is life. They're used to it. They're comfortable there. And this is our job, obviously, to wake them up to it. But I'm saying there is a reason why people critique the excesses. It's because the excesses are the anomaly, and they want to bring the anomaly back into the norm so that they can stay comfortable with the rate that we're falling through because of gravity.
Absolutely, and that's why we have to have these conversations. We have to consistently problematize people, presidents like Obama. We have to consistently problematize Clinton. We have to consistently problematize both Clintons, actually.
We have to do it with every single president. Like, we have to do it with everything about it. We have to do it with the Pledge of Allegiance. We have to do it like we are born. This is the Dr. King said. We have been assimilated into a burning house. And our burning house is the system that surrounds us. It is the American empire. It is American capitalism being spread abroad. It is what we have. It's what we know. And what I'm saying is, if we are going to attack the excesses, or if you're tired, rather, of attacking the excesses, and you want people to focus on the system, I mean, we have to start back at day one.
Absolutely. And I mean, you know what they say, the best time to plant a tree. The best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The next best time is right now. Yes. And so the point becomes, it's like American empire is a great example of that. It's like, up until the Iraq War and a few years after the Iraq War, we denied that America had an empire, despite the military bases, despite the Commonwealths, despite places like Guam. We denied the presence of American empire until it was brought to the attention of the world and to our own citizenry through the lens of the Iraq War. Through that, it provided that kind of dye for the problem, and it behooves us to not have to keep learning that lesson. I think we have to constantly question these things that are slowly becoming normalized. We just, and we can't let Trump become the standard bearer for what constitutes bad, because that is frightening.
But okay, so I think this is actually what I want to ask you, Brandon. We're talking about the system versus the anomaly. We can actually talk about it in terms of the Matrix movie, but I probably won't. If the system is a problem, which it is, but the anomalies make the system even worse, do you think we should ignore the anomalies and just let them run all over the system because we need to fix the system first? I mean, if the anomalies are going to destroy everything, I'm just being hyperbolic. Well, no, I'm not saying that about Donald Trump. I'm just saying in your analogy, we have to attack the excesses because we have to stop focusing on the excesses and attack the system. But those excesses have the ability to do quite a bit of damage. Do you think we should ignore the excesses? That's
well, I guess the answer is very simple. It's like, no, but our solutions to the excesses should not be the system. Is my point. Our solution to neo-fascism should not be neoliberalism, because that is not a real solution to neo-fascism. That is just a precursor. You know what I mean? It's like, so your solution to a problem, your solution to the excess of a problem, your solution to the excess of the system cannot be the system. Mm-hmm. And that's what we see with Trump and Obama. and Clinton, for lack of a better. We think so. For example, Clinton did not offer an answer to racism or sexism or neo-fascism or Trumpism, for lack of a better word, whatever you want to call it. And I agree, no president no candidate was, no president before her was either. But now that we see Trump and people are so, horrified by Trump's language and his behavior and whatever you want to, whatever people find so horrifying, the answer to Trump cannot be Clinton. Mm-hmm. At a certain point, if we get to the point where there's an excess of the system, we have to solve the system itself along with the excess. It's not let's just scale it back. Let's scale it back from 11 back to 9. We have to scale it all the way back. We have to start attacking the actual
most Americans, and this is where the problem is, right? And problem is relative, right? Because you're going to have some people who don't see this as a problem at all. Obviously, the entire Democratic Party don't see this as a problem at all. The problem is that people would honestly prefer the status quo than some type of strange, anomalous version of America, when they are not willing to admit to themselves that the status quo of America is problematic as fuck.
Well, of course. I mean, that that's just the way that, that's hegemony. The status quo has become common sense, and we've been on a slow downward spiral of, these things that, I was watching an interview with Glenn Greenwald and Bill Maher from back when the Snowden stuff came out originally, and Bill Maher was questioning the surveillance state, like the idea that we didn't need one, that we didn't need to be, that we didn't need to be tracking the phone calls of everyone in America.
Right.
The idea that, why not? Well, why not? It's like, what do you mean, why not? I don't what do you mean?
Wait. Bill Maher said, why not?
Maher said, why not?
He's an idiot. I don't know why people even watch him. Bill Maher to me is quite literally Bill Maher would keep broadcasting in an actual in a true fascist state. I think he would continue. He would find a way to keep it. He's one of those people. So I don't even know why people consider him a liberal. I think he's more of an opportunist than anything else. Let's get
smug.
Let's get.
Well, but I mean,
go ahead. Well, let's
answer that question because he's smug. Because he's smug, and just like Jon Stewart and just like Stephen Colbert, who I generally like, is like they make their money making fun of the excesses of the system.
Yep.
They don't attack the system itself. Like they make their money poking fun at the excess of the system.
Yeah.
And that's why they're not really satire. They're not political satire, because political satire is aimed at the system itself.
Well, now your boy Stephen Colbert was quite satirical at the White House.
He was funny.
Yeah.
He was Stephen Colbert. I have a soft place mark because he was funny. But I would argue that the black guy, and I hate saying that, but the one who replaced him. No, Larry Wilmore, not Trevor Noah. Larry Wilmore. Now he got to the heart of these. He
would cut so deep. Sometimes he was whack, but when he cut deep and he went with real satire, he didn't care who he was talking to. He was ruthless. I liked him a little bit.
But I agree with you. This was one last thing. I agree with you with both Larry Wilmore and Stephen Colbert's real, at that White House Correspondents' Dinner. And you know how you know it was real satire? Because everyone was uncomfortable.
Yep.
If everyone is laughing at what you're saying, you're not criticizing the system. Like if everyone is cheering when you critique racism and sexism and homophobia, everyone's cheering and they feel good at the end, it's not real. You're not really critiquing it properly. I think everyone should be a little bit comfortable.
Let's do this real quick. We want to cover a couple of key stories while I have everyone here. And I know Anoa and Brandon, you guys have some things that you wanted to do a late show with, and I'm kind of intruding on your territory.
Oh, no, you're fine. It's your
I want to make sure we cover all of the everything that we want to talk about. David, if you don't mind bringing up the image of the Super Bowl haircut murder.
Can I just give a real quick shout out to Carl Baird? Just dropped a new piece about half an hour ago on progressivearmy.com on our blog.
You're hijacking my show since you brought that up. Go ahead and David.
I'm sorry, but only because we were talking about David Brock, and I was waiting for us to break for a second. Just I dropped the link in the chat. Everybody check it out, read it. It's very good. And basically, it's give money to the left. We not falling for those cheap tricks. So
yeah,
actually
pull up David, if you could pull up an image of the article or of David Brock. Paul Bear is a phenomenal writer. He runs with the MBET, the Matt Brunig election team. They're all some amazing writers, and we're super proud to have him do this op-ed on progressivearmy.com, that's our stuff. That's our crew. That's what we do. So he's saying essentially, and read. I haven't had a chance to read it all, but just taking some snippets out of it. He said all of these media. He names a list of media outlets that are actually progressive, that have been in the trenches the entire time. He included the Benjamin Dixon Show, Katie Halper's show, Jacobin, Chapo Trap House. Chapo Trap House, they're doing fine. Don't give me they're doing fine. Give to the people who aren't doing as good as Chapo. No offense, Chapo, you guys are fine. We need to make sure that we give money to all these other organizations. And the last person, like, I would rather see you give every dime you have to Chapo, even though they're doing quite okay. I would rather see you give it to them than to give it to anyone like Media Matters, or anything connected to the Center for American Progress, anything connected to David Brock. Give to actual leftists. And this is what Bear's article is about. Let any of you get your take on it. What did you think about it if you had a chance to even peruse it yet?
I just want to say that is the best pitch Brock I've ever seen. But it looks like an SNL skit character. I don't know. It's like a wig. It's great. That's a great picture of him.
It's something. It looks like he's straight out of the Founding Fathers Day. He's like the reject founding father. Go ahead, Anoa. You about to say something?
No, he looks like a kid from the Village of the Damned. Is what he looks like. No,
he looks like if they were going to reshoot Back to the Future, he could play Doc Brown.
No, he looked like a grown kid from the Village of the Damned. They had their hair that color. But no, I was just gonna say it was a really good piece. I saw it that it just got published. It was dropped. The tweet from our blog was dropped, and I saw it. I skimmed through it, hit on a lot of the major points that we were already kind of making, and I love the ode to people who are actually doing progressive leftist media who've already been doing it. I mean, because there's a narrative out there. There's a Vanity Fair piece. I think there's a New Republic piece. There's a couple different pieces who are trying to position him and his media group. You have a, what is it? Fair. I forget what it is. They're like a real media watchdog. What him and his ilk do, that's not being a watchdog. That's a propaganda wing.
Background.
My son just dropped his PlayStation remote control in the background. He's going to bed.
Breaking in your house. Go ahead, Anoa. I'm sorry.
No, but I'm just saying, like, no. It was, that's what I said. I just want to say real quick, shout out to Carl. It's really, and then shout out to our editorial staff and editors and team, managing the op-ed process, because we're getting some really great contributors, really great op-eds and stuff. So definitely check out the Progressive Army. If you guys didn't know that was us, that's us. I mean, not literally us, because I haven't written a piece in over a month, but well,
I haven't written a piece in over a year, but I pay the bills there, so it's still me.
Oh, you wrote a piece last summer that got like 200,000 hits about the Bacardi Sellers letter.
Yeah. So it's, well, I'll talk about that off the record. But anyway, yeah. So no, actually, listen, we're gonna take a minute here and just kind of wag our own tails a little bit. Like, the Progressive Army is actually a thing. And I think the audience realized that before I even realized that, because and I think David, you and Salam, you guys realized that even before I realized it. I mean, I built the site like a year ago, and I try to organize everything, and then I just kind of turn it over to you guys, and we've been writing. But the Progressive Army is a thing. When I mean a thing, it's like our traffic is growing every single day. The writers we're getting writers from everywhere now. We got Carl Bear on Wendy Muse. I mean, she did 2 killer pieces back to back. I mean, I don't know what she's doing. Is she still in Brazil right now?
No, I think she's back stateside, finishing up her PhD work.
I mean, but she's been smashing it. You got Raven, you got Jamie, you got Andre. Like, we got a crew over there that is actually making a site. And the thing what's exciting about it the most is that it's taking a life of its own, and it's growing into something that people are seeing some benefit out of it. And it's just amazing to see something that we started just a year ago actually be building. And what's amazing is that our reach and our influence is so much greater than the number of clicks we get and the revenues stream that we get, right? So our revenue stream is like, whatever it is. At this point, we'll stop talking about it publicly. But our reach goes and our influence goes so much further than all of that. And people look at us and say, like, who the hell are they and where the hell did they come from? They are us, we are them, and we are the Progressive Army. All right, that's my info.
One last thing about Progressive Army. Thank you to everyone that's donating to our little fundraiser to get some of us to DC to do coverage for the inauguration. Really, I mean, some of y'all have come out with some big dollars, but every amount helps. So just want to give a shout out to everyone that did donate. That I mean, it's all love. Got about another 1,000 or so to go. But really appreciate you guys so much.
To be honest with you, I didn't know I'm timid about asking for money, except for my
I've never done it before.
I've kind of gotten in the habit of asking. It took me forever. I think the first year I didn't even ask for patrons, even though I had it set up. So I'm really timid about asking for money. So I was really nervous about this fundraiser. But the fact that we're only $1,000 away from our goal.
Yeah, like I adjusted the goal because housing is like a lot less expensive. Through some of the things, so we're looking at only 3,500 now instead of 5,000 for all 5 of us. But still, so we're within 1,000 of the adjusted goal. I think you broke it down
yesterday, and we're going to go to church here. Like this is what they when you said this yesterday. All I could think about was when I used to go to church when the preacher would get up and say, "I need 60 people." I need 60 people in the church to give us $27 each. That was the math you did, right? 60 by 27. Mm-hmm. So we need 60 people to give $27 to help us get full coverage of the not the DNC shit. I'm 6 months late of the inauguration and the Women's March on the following day. So 60 people, $27 is not hard to do for everybody. Some of you, it may be hard and you might can only get $5.
I mean, anything. It really does go. It does help.
But if we can get 60 people to give the $27, we will meet and exceed our goal, and we'll be able to take our crew, the same people who were at the DNC, plus Anoa Changa, plus a few more people. So go to the link that Anoa or David is going to drop in the chat room, and do what you can. And
it's not just the inauguration of Women's March. I mean, like Code Pink has stuff going on. Answer Coalition has a march Friday morning. There are teach-ins on Thursday. I mean, because we're looking to get there like Thursday to Sunday. There's Occupy Inauguration Summit on Sunday. I mean, there's so much that's going on, so many rich opportunities. And we want to make sure that you guys have real coverage on the ground. Just again, like the guys did for the DNC, we're trying to do the same thing for the inauguration. So. So yeah,
here's something that's hilarious, right? And we'll shift gears and talk about anything you guys want to talk about. Here's something that's hilarious. Like, I didn't build the Progressive Army to be black. I built the Progressive Army to be progressive, but it's like I can't find white people to be on the air with us except for David, and David is like what is the honorary brother? So it's like
David's Puerto Rican.
David's Puerto Rican. But I'm laughing.
I have a whole long explanation for how David became Puerto Rican, but that's for another day.
Yeah, it's another day. But I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying that we're looking for people because we have some really great shows and we're set, right? But if you know some like super talented people, because after a while, you know what the attack is going to be on us. Somebody's going to say we're not diverse enough, and we need to bring some diversity to
I'm Asian.
You're what?
I'm Asian.
He is a quarter Asian, remember? See, there we go. Diversity.
I love Nature Boy.
Don't you have somebody white on Project Sanity? You got white people on Project Sanity, right?
Even the white
people
we had.
I'm sorry, what?
The white people we had are gone. Are we? I mean,
hey, everybody, this is David in the background. Yeah, they used to have white people.
We got white people in the background. We don't even show this dude's face. David, put your face on the main screen so people can see. At least we got one.
David is Puerto Rican. Why do we keep doing this? Like I told you, David is Puerto Rican.
Yeah, but if he's Puerto Rican, he is white. He's a white Hispanic, then, right?
No, he's not. He just doesn't tan very well. Like he's just a very fair skin. He's like the same color as Sean King. He's just a very fair skinned, Afrocentric Black Puerto Rican.
I'm cracking up at the chat room with Nature Boy. Nature Boy said, "Don't worry, Ben. White people are overrated."
But other David is on Project Sanity, right?
Yeah, David Cohen.
Yeah,
We got a
David is
caller.
impersonating.
Let's see. I think everyone should be able to hear the caller. Caller, what's your name?
This is
Comment.
Bryce. I'm gonna lose my shit. Just telling you right now.
Bryce, my dude, what's happening, man?
What I do?
No, because Brandon was like, I swear to God, if this is Bryce, I'm gonna lose my shit. And then you said immediately after you said, hey, this is Bryce, everybody.
Got it.
Got him.
This is why I'm the highest paid member of Progressive Army. Psychic.
I was calling to ask you, what are you guys' thoughts on the Root situation? He got penalty. I guess what's your thoughts on?
Oh man, you bringing our high down, man. You messing up my high talking about that Super Bowl murderer. But no, that's a good question. We're gonna cover him, and apparently we got to cover the golden showers because it's trending. I mean, there's a lot of stuff I would want to trend for. Golden showers is not one I want to trend for. Okay, all right. So let's talk about the serious news first. David, if you don't mind bringing up the picture of the Super Bowl white supremacist murderer. And on my timeline, I haven't seen him trend. I know other people say they've seen his name trend, but it would just have been so fitting if this dude got the death penalty and didn't even trend on Twitter. Like his life would end with like a thud and nobody would even hear it. But apparently he has been trending. So anyway, yeah, as everyone knows, Dylan Roof has been found, not only found guilty, but he's been sentenced to death. This is what he wanted. I want to make sure everybody is clear on that. He wanted the death penalty, and because he wants to be seen as either he wants to be seen as a martyr, or he understands he's so young that what 60 years in prison would look like for him, so he just would rather die. I don't care. I'm not for the death penalty, so I can't say that I'm actually celebrating, not out of any remorse for him, but out of the United States not being a moral actor enough to actually execute somebody.
In the dark. Justice doesn't take place in private. Like if you can see courtroom cases, then you should be able to watch executions. It should be live and it should be played in the square and on Times Square. We should play the execution, and people should have to see what the justice looks like. I'm a proponent of that.
Actually, that is a Black Mirror episode.
Black Mirror is overrated.
Black what?
That is a Black Mirror episode, though.
Oh, I'm sorry. He said Black Mirror is overrated. David, do me a favor and boot Brandon.
Black Mirror is not like, I'm a huge Twilight Zone fan and a huge Outer Limits fan. Why
would you compare it to those? It's totally different, not a totally different genre, but it's a totally different approach, man.
Yeah, it's the only approach is non-subtle. It's just not very subtle. It hits you over the head with everything.
Well, nothing compared to 50 years ago is subtle though. Like
yeah.
Like nothing is the same. It's not the same. Like I'm not going to disagree with you necessarily about it being. I don't know that it's overrated, but I binge watched it when I was sick. It was one of the suggestions people gave me on Twitter, and I'm like, okay, this is cool, but like my sister was like, oh my God, it's going to be so good. And I was like, this episode's kind of disturbing.
Well, disturbing is good.
But it's not bad. No, it's not a bad show, but like
it's just like it's
just not bad. There were some good episodes. Some of the episodes were
there were some good episodes. I like a few of them.
Let's do a Noah's litmus test, because Noah, this is my new thing from now on. Have you seen every episode of both seasons of Black Mirror?
There's 3 seasons, and I've seen every episode. There's 3 seasons. The third season is 6 episodes. No, the first season's like 3, the second's like 4, something like that, and the third season's 6.
No, there's actually like 2 full seasons. There's like a special episode that they considered a season, which I don't know.
No, the third season, because I just watched it on Twitter on Netflix, is 6 episodes, and the 6th episode is 90 minutes long.
What I'm saying
about the Christmas episode.
What I'm saying is Black Mirror, their second season, if you want to call it the second season.
So
to take it back off of Black Mirrors, I was also going to say I'm also against the death penalty because our system.
Well, there's like 2 death penalty. There's 2 death penalty episodes in the Black Mirror. I think both of them. The one's in the second season, one's in the third season.
No, I think one of them is White Bear. I like White Bear. White Bear.
Yeah, I'm saying White Bear is one of them when they create the amusement park.
This is crap. Oh, you know which one was great was the one where they had to they were acting out with they were being hunted. That was their sentence. They were hunted and they couldn't remember.
White man.
But see, I saw what they call season 1 is 3 episodes, season 2 is 3 episodes, and they have this special episode. All of that is one season to me. That's nothing.
And
so anyway,
season 3 is
6, 12, 13 episodes of Black Mirror.
Yes.
Okay.
I just said I binge watched all of it on Netflix when I was sick.
Anyone can call it overrated. Okay, let's get back on target.
I didn't say it was overrated, but I really do think that there's some.
we can agree. We can talk about a lot of stuff, but the stuff we can't talk about, which we will because it's funny as hell, is pop culture, movies, Batman particularly, and TV.
Oh, did you see the Batman I sent you guys with Batman slapping Donald Trump?
Yes. Yep, I agree. I don't know. No, I do agree.
The stream is out again, so you guys know.
Is it? Okay, well, I mean, we're still here on the internet radio. Okay, so we're back. Everything is copacetic. So what else is happening in the news? So they're going to kill Dylan Roof, or the guy whose name should be forgotten. What else is happening in the news? Oh, the Golden P, right? So this is not actually, this is Donald Trump. They claim they have video or they have information on Donald Trump having a special type of proclivity. He likes to hire Russian hookers and have them pee on him. So let's go around the room. Does anybody have any problem with?
I need Dave Chappelle. I need Dave Chappelle. Like the song is just in my head. I
want to piss on you. That song. And then she had that chocolate. It was like, and baby, I want to boo boo.
Give that pee pee. Is this the remixed edition?
Yeah. Oh man, that was godlike.
Hey, so David, do me a favor. Forget about loading media because it keeps dropping out, and we'll just do it with the screen that we have here. But no, I want to take a survey. Like, does anybody have a problem with your president enjoying golden showers from Russian prostitutes?
I mean, I think are they of age? As long as they're legal age, I don't give a shit what he's doing.
No, I think that that's hypocrisy on the left to just decide that certain sexual activities between consenting adults is suddenly like amoral, like or immoral rather. And like I'm a bit disgusted by the people who are even like, and this even goes back to I was always even against this, like the whole he thinks his daughter is attractive type of thing. I thought that was blown out of proportion. I thought that was gross and blown out of proportion. Not gross on his part, but gross on the media's part. They're very comfortable with these kind of, I don't know what you call it, these immature narratives that they really should know. Like, I'm not one of the people who thinks that the media should be completely proper and civil and everything like that. But with this new golden showers thing and like with the Trump's daughter and the rando incest jokes, I think the media feels very too comfortable being distasteful when it comes to Trump, and it just obfuscates the fact that they're not doing their real job. It's not their it's not their job to make 100 thought pieces on whether or not someone likes to get peed on. It's their job to hold people accountable for corruption. And if they could get that first the latter job correct, I would be interested in like their opinions on the peeing and on like his vaguely uncomfortable statement about his daughter. But they can't even do this is just obfuscation. Like, do your job, do your real job. I don't care if golden showers is trending on Twitter. Like, the media needs to do their real job and stop invading people's sex lives.
I mean, but now, this is where we are, right? Let's not pretend as though this has not been an American obsession for ever. Like, America, ever since we've ingrained these puritanical beliefs into the American psyche, we have always been obsessed with people's sexuality. So America does want to know about the golden showers, right? And so this goes back to the question of whether or not the media should report what they feel is right to report, or should they report what people are demanding to have reported.
I think it was. Go ahead, Nick.
I want to push back against that. I don't think the media is involved in reporting what people want. I think they make people want what they report. Like, I'm sure a lot of people don't give a damn about the golden showers. Like, if he wants to get up under there, he like gold, I like it too. Go ahead, whatever he's gonna do. But At the same time, I'm sure that there's other stuff that people are more, that's more pressing.
You've got
in
a lot
terms
of
of what they want.
America, man. You got a lot. I mean, you realize like TMZ is one of the most popular, not only websites, but television shows. Like people live and die for this stuff. This is what they and the question is whether or not our political journalists should engage in this, because even if they don't, you're going to have most of America going to get this information.
I agree with Nick. I think people don't really know what they want until they get it, and I think that you can sell people pretty much anything, especially if it's scandalous. I think that TMZ is popular for a lot of reasons, and I think the media is trying to get some of that TMZ BuzzFeed video money. When like that's not like at a certain point, our press does itself a disservice by trying to be so popular.
Oh yeah, no. It's all we could trace this trend back to the suspension of the fairness doctrine and the conglomeration of all of our media networks and the profit motive being inserted into our news centers, right? Instead of just letting the profit motive be around the soap operas. But now you have outlets that call themselves news outlets who have to generate a profit. So they are catering to the proclivities, right? Whether or not it's what they want, it's what they respond to. It's that what's it called when you can't really control yourself, but it's actually a legal term that the judges use when they describe pornography and how they define pornography, because it's compulsion. It's like a compulsion, whether or not they have a higher level of thinking that they want to ascend to. If someone would just introduce it to them, people are compelled to click on stories like this. And because it drives profits, that's why our news media, unfortunately, is involved. So it's maybe want is not the right word, but people are compelled to click on these types of stories, and it generates profit. So, I mean, can we blame a profit-driven news media? The problem to me is the fact that they have to chase profits.
Yeah, I can blame a profit-driven news media insofar that I can blame them for at least part of their shtick is that they are quote unquote informative. It's just like, if you're profit-driven, if you put profit over information, over actual valuable information, then that should be really out front. But if you if you are still trying to maintain your kind of journalistic integrity while simultaneously doing stuff like that, then that is a problem, because you create this situation where people are coming to you because they believe that you are trying to inform them. And that's why we have one of the most uninformed and misinformed populaces in the world, is because these are for-profit.
I agree.
CNN or Fox News or MSNBC or Slate or Salon or New York Times, all these places, they're for profit, but they grade as though they are doing a public good. And I would also extend it to the DNC. The DNC is not but it masquerades and uses vague language as though it actually is. And so I can't blame people for being confused by these things, but I can blame the media for saying, okay, yeah, if you're going to be for profit, if you're going to put profit over information, then you're not really a member of the fourth estate, and you can't put that guise on yourself in order to benefit from that kind of
that. And that's the most dangerous type of journalism. Are the people who can slime ball their way in and out of journalistic responsibility, and the fact that they're actually just entertainers for profit. That's what we have reporting us news every single day, 24 hours a day. CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, NBC, all of them have who claim to be journalists when it benefits them to do so.
It's not just the for-profit news media, though, because you have NPR and PBS spouting the same nonsense right along with them, and those are not profitable entities. Those are not for-profit entities. It's not just the profit motive. It's like a bounding on the political dialogue that we have in America. There's bounds, and because you can only talk about such a narrow band of things, you have to include. You have to make big stuff. You have to make things that are seemingly insignificant. You have to make them real large and stretch it out to fill up that time and space, because there's nothing else to talk about. You can't talk about X, Y, and Z, but you can talk about T, U, and B. So everything in T, U, and B, the whole aspect of it has to fill up that space that would normally be occupied by other letters.
Yep. How do we get on this anyway? What? Oh, the golden showers. Whether or not it's something
The chat
that
room said this is like Pizzagate. They don't care.
No, but what I will say, just to jump off of Nick,
Pizzagate, right? Because Pizzagate is decidedly like y'all have lost y'all minds if you really think Pizzagate. If they have the people actually believe it. So let me not insult. I hope none of my audience believes that crap. But it's a little different than Pizzagate in the sense.
I'll insult them if they believe in Pizzagate. They need to really reevaluate their decision making processes. But
No, I don't think they're saying they believe it. They're saying in terms of it's silly and they don't care.
Well, that's really what if Pizzagate was true.
Yeah,
Pizzagate a really big problem. If this was, it wouldn't be.
Yeah. But this, I just really wanted to know, like, what people's take was. Like, does anybody really care that he likes golden showers? I mean, it fits his MO, so it doesn't matter. I mean, whatever.
What's his MO, Ben?
He's a dirty old bastard.
He likes gold.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. He likes gold.
Yeah, he likes gold.
Oh, can I say one thing though? Did anyone else see that picture that was floating around with him in that golden palace with his son riding a lion?
Yeah, that's like, a standard picture.
I would. If people were like freaking out about that, and I was like, listen, if I had that kind of money, that's exactly what my photos look like too. That's exactly what my photos. I was like, I can say that.
So check this out. This is crazy. I'm as we're talking, I'm multitasking, and I'm on Facebook, and I'm getting ready to promote. You know, every now and then I grab articles by each of our authors, and we just kind of do like a cycle. We cycle through and we promote some articles. I can't promote this article with the picture of David Brock because it has been blocked by Facebook. Can you believe that?
It is bounding it.
David Brock is fake. David Brock is fake news.
He says, and here it is. Actually, I can't bring it up on screen, but it says ad operation failed. This ad contains or refers to content that has been blocked by our security systems. David Brock, you are a master, sir. I have to admit, David Brock, you are a master. That's gangster shit. I'm gonna find a way to get around it, obviously, but that's gangster shit right there.
I had a running joke. I had a running joke about Rupert Murdoch. You know, back when he was all in front of the TV and everybody was concerned about what Rupert Murdoch was doing, and I was like, because he's gotten so powerful, he could walk down the street, in the middle of New York, pull down his pants, and take a shit on the sidewalk, and you wouldn't hear not a peep about it. You wouldn't hear not a peep about it.
Who's going to cover it, right?
Who's going to cover that? He's not going to cover it.
And this is why, like, this is cliche as hell, but this is why independent is so important. Social media is so important, except for the fact now that I can't even post this shit from David Brock. So maybe they'll have a scan of Rupert Murdoch's ass taking a shit, and if they identify that, then they'll block it. Otherwise,
this is wow. But this is another problem with the whole Trump thing, and everyone was talking about how Trump was going to unify the left. Well, not everyone. Some people were talking about should we burn the house down, unify the left. It's like that. Why would you think that was going to happen? An equally possible scenario was that the left would get really, really afraid of Trump, of the dangers of Trump, and they would fall in line and not criticize their own internal power structure. And that's what we're seeing a lot of now. We're seeing a lot of members of the quote unquote woke ass left kind of fall into line because they're afraid of Trump, and thus that fear, like, they don't want to criticize.
Wait a minute. Did they actually, and we all know who they is, did they actually argue that the so woke neoliberal left was going to fall in line with the progressive left?
They argued that the left would come together under the umbrella of the progressives because they would be the only ones who'd be able to. Yeah, I was who thought
worse now? That prediction is even worse. Like, I saw
it was always stupid,
insane. That's insane because not only here's the other part of the prediction that was just piss poor backwards is this idea that Donald Trump was ever going to burn down the house. Like, I mean, why did people believe that Donald Trump was going to come in and fundamentally change the system such that it constitutes a burning down of the house? Donald Trump is not an arsonist. He's not a nihilist. He is the system. He's just the excesses, Brandon, if I could borrow your phrase, of the system.
But wait a minute. I think right there, that's what they were talking about when they said burn the house down. The system is going to destroy itself because it's inherently unstable and unsustainable. I think that's the point. He's going to come in, and the excesses of an already unsustainable system would cause like a burning down the house effect. Now, I don't agree with like this unification, but I do agree with is that we're in a time of great change. There's a lot of shifting of things going on. We got realignment of this, changing of that. You know, a lot of new words going on, movements coming up out of nowhere. There's a lot of action going on. What's unclear is what the result of all that action will be because there's too many moving parts. And I think somebody asked me to make a prediction, and that's exactly what I said. I said there's too many moving parts. I mean, there's great potential here, but there's also great danger.
I agree now more than ever that the progressive movement needs to part ways with this Democratic. I don't know, a lot of people are like the Democratic Party is going to do that. No, I don't think the Democratic Party is going to do anything at this point. I think we should, at a bare minimum, organize ourselves outside of the Democratic Party such that we are a threat to them. Then they can concede to our demands. But if we're not doing that, then we really are just, because neoliberals, they're preparing to have the same type of fail in 2020 as they had in 2016. And if progressives don't have a firm grip on a coalition that stands outside of the Democratic Party, then we're going to fail in 2020 as well. And this is going to play in the perfect hands for people like Donald Trump.
Well, in 2018, right? Midterms, and there's special elections next year, and then midterms 2018. I mean, again, you know, check out the conversation I had last night with Nick Branna of Draft Bernie to former People's Party. Again, it's less about Bernie and more about, you know, building a third party option. I think the conversation, he wrote a piece, like I think like a couple weeks after the election, we put it up yesterday, kind of laying out that argument. And it is that since that Democratic Party, all the great intentions with the reformists, then maybe there is a possibility, you know, at the state level to do something. But as a whole, the Democratic Party is a cancer. And it just needs to be cut out and done away with. Like,
the Democratic Party is not a cancer. It's just a structure, and it's a structure that
it's a
overwhelms
succubus. It's a succubus.
No,
it's a cancer. It's a leech. It's something that's very.
What I'm trying to say, it's a structure that demands certain things from the people who work within it, and if you cannot fulfill those demands, you can't work within it. But those demands are so antithetical to the progressive left that it becomes impossible to play both of those. You can't do both. Like, you simply cannot be progressive with the Democratic Party, because as we've seen this slow erosion of progressive values, or at the very least, we've seen, like, you must pay lip service, you must enable the elites in the Democratic Party, even though they're responsible for this mess. Like, you still have to enable them. You still have to provide a way out for them, that why they really didn't, quote unquote, lose to Donald Trump, so that they can feel better about themselves. They can feel as though, like, their place is still valuable. It's great. It's like Russia and Trump provide the perfect scapegoats for the Democratic elite to stay in power. It wasn't their fault, and you shouldn't, and we can't, quote unquote, re-legislate the primary because we have a bigger threat now. It's Trump, and that was the thing.
Here's where it's a little different, right? I think the landscape is slightly different. It could devolve back into being the same shit show that we've had for the last 40 years, whatever. But I think the landscape is a little bit different because Bernie Sanders is still the titular head. No, I love that word. Borrow it from you real quick. Of this progressive movement that people are trying to fight, people are trying to stop, and now David Brock is trying to buy off, you know, or apologize his way back into it. We actually have a movement that was created or that got revived during the 2016 election that actually could change this structure, even in the face of the neoliberals trying to use Donald Trump as an excuse. I think it's slightly different if we are able to capitalize on it. And the problem is, I'm not really sure how well we can capitalize on what's left of this progressive movement that was revitalized. But it's here. I mean, Bernie Sanders is there. He's getting more coverage now than Hillary Clinton will, because she's Yeti and she's in the woods hiding and making guest appearances. You know, she's Bigfoot. You know,
she's a Wendigo.
She's Cannibal Shia LaBeouf.
No, okay, but so here's the question: it's like, if the goal is to change Democratic Party, if the goal is to get them to do what the left wants them to do, is it easier to provide pressure is it easier for people on the left, for progressives, to put pressure on them from the outside or from the inside? And that becomes the question, because some people are like, it's easier to work within them and provide and put pressure And I think
I would say I hear your question loud and clear, and I have always been one to say let's reform from the inside. I don't have time, nor the energy, nor the desire to fuck with them. So somebody else, if you want to move them from the inside, that's your spot. Go ahead and do that. But only way I think that the progressives can actually we have to leverage it. We have to smash them. We have to make them capitulate to our demands, and we can't do that trying to fix it from within, because they have all their power structures and all their games and all their rules. Not even games, they have all their rules and regulations to protect the power structure. So there has to be a both and. Let the people who believe on the inside, let them give it their best shot, but the progressive movement has to be galvanized outside of the Democratic Party.
I agree.
It could be a third party, but if it can't be a third party, it has to be a movement that moves as a block that can knock the Democratic establishment across the head on demand.
I mean, I agree, but I guess my opposition to going within them is twofold. It's that sort of becoming friends with your enemies or your people who aren't in line with you can sort of make it more difficult to hold them accountable. And B, it can be joining the Democratic Party. It at least symbolically, it gives them your power. It gives them your power to vote. Like if you say, "Well, I'm going to be a Democrat," like if they get to put a one more check mark into their their bursar for the voting, and do I really even symbolically, even if I choose not to vote for them in the next election, do I really want them to have that kind of claim to my vote by saying, "Hey, you know what? You're a registered Democrat. What's going on here?" Right. And it's like, and even obviously that's meaningless, but in some ways childish, but still, it's like, well. I find a lot of their things distasteful, and I find the price of entry too high in certain situations.
I agree.
Yeah, I want to wonder. I wonder is like how can you align with your political opposition in order to get something for you, and they're not negotiating with you in terms of trying to give you something. They're not giving you anything. You're just aligning with them just to align with them for no reason. You're helping them achieve their goals, but you're not getting anything. And it's just like there's supposed to be some sort of transaction, and it's just like they're giving you an IOU and you're paying up front. Well, I mean, that's not right.
I guess that was my point, though. I agree with you. I think that was my point. I think that the same structure that when you talk about why we should reform Democratic Party, people then tend to fall into this pattern of, well, they have that the name recognition, the structure, they have the apparatus to get people to vote. They're an already established party, so it's better and easier than building up a new structure. It's better and easier than developing your own name recognition. But at the same time, I would say it's that exact same structure that makes those demands. And at the same time,
this is why.
The third thing.
Well, go ahead. Give me the third.
Losers.
Go ahead.
The third thing is that Democratic Party are losers. The Democratic Party is at this point like they've lost everything, and like the victories that they can claim are largely pyrrhic and symbolic. We had a black president, and we had almost woman president, and we don't say the N-word. It's like that's those are their victories. And 30 years. They've conditioned they've conditioned the Democratic voting base to accept those. It's like they have these very, very, very low standards for what constitutes victory, and you have a bunch of effete Democratic voters who are still touting, well, we won the popular vote. Who cares? That's sad. That's even sadder. It's just that you even know how the system works, that you went out of your way. And let's be honest, she went out of her way to increase her popular vote victory without actually trying to worry about the electoral college by advocating in urban centers.
That was all California.
I told somebody
California did that. That was all California. California, that was all them little dinners and stuff she did in California, instead of, like you said, making sure she hit the map like she was supposed to.
All right, let's do one last thing before I get out of here. I got
Miss Millie.
Do you have that video?
Nick Millie?
No, Miss Millie.
And
apparently, Hillary Clinton got a standing ovation at the Color Purple. It just made me think of how I used to talk about Miss Millie moments during the primary.
That's very ironic.
This is so good to you people.
Wait till they do a Broadway version of. Wait till they do a Broadway version of Driving Miss Daisy.
Oh God!
Have Wayne Brady play the Morgan Freeman role.
I don't know if he has the majestic, wise old man voice. I don't know when the first time I saw him, but I knew he was a special man, and we would be good friends.
That's pretty.
Only go
get a little bit more raspiness, just a little more raspiness on it. But that's a pretty good interpretation.
Clinton only goes to racist, only goes to like racist plays about racism or like the good old days.
All right. So what are we playing?
It's a Miss Millie moment. Like, so during the primary, right? Like, I really felt like the way Hillary Clinton engaged, particularly with Black people, Black women, was very Miss Millie like, right? She had these imposing moments on Blackness, and so to hear that she got a standing ovation when she attended a Broadway showing of The Color Purple was just laughable to me, and it made me think of Miss Millie. And I think this is the scene where Miss Millie is going on and on about how clean Sophia's kids are.
How long is it to be safe? How long is
it's like a minute and a half. It's 2 minutes. We don't need to see the whole. We don't need to see once she snaps and goes. We don't need it. We don't need to watch the rest of it.
How long is it before they snap? Because
it's like a minute and like 15.
So we're gonna have to splice that in. Let us splice that in because YouTube will cut us in the middle of the stream. YouTube is the real fascist around here. You can't play more than 30 seconds of something without them getting ready to cut your stream, especially if it's like from a movie. So we'll splice that in and tie it back. But you're saying when you saw this standing, she got Color Purple. I mean,
what made me think of that? Will you be my maid? Like, yeah.
But I didn't cut that one long enough either. Yeah, well, I honestly, nah, actually.
But I mean, but that's a really good point that Ben made earlier about like Clinton standing ovation and just David Brock's entitlement. It's like, how entitled and privileged is it to not have to consider your own recent past? It's like how entitled and recent, what kind of entitlement and privilege?
3 weeks ago. This is not even a month ago yet.
It's like the Democratic Party doesn't even have, the Democratic establishment doesn't even have to account for a month ago. Like David Brock was like trolling people and calling people like racist and sexist not even 2 weeks ago, and now it's like we don't think about the past.
When David Brock counted the number of Black people in Bernie Sanders' Iowa ad, and he said that he didn't have enough Black people, so that means Bernie Sanders doesn't think Black lives matter. He didn't just say this; he put it out as a press release that spread across the internet and actually gave fire to the race problem that Bernie Sanders had, that they accused him of having. When he did that, that was it, right? There's no turning back from the I don't even know how to describe this dude, right? But we are here now where they forgot about this just happened less than a year ago. And it's almost like selective amnesia. People want to move on so quickly and they want to unify so quickly. And they want to unify back with someone as big of a slime ball as David Brock, who has proven that he's not only willing and able to argue from both sides and be a smear master from both sides, but he's also proven that there's no level that he's not willing to go. And we have people fully embracing him to come to calling him progressive. I'm with you, Anoa. We probably need a new term because that's
well, and this is the whole problem with the normalization, right? Everyone's been so focused on Trump, but we have long since normalized problematic behavior, racist behavior, deeply, violent behavior like this inflicted by David Brock and others. It's long since been normalized, and this rush to just get over it and we just need to all just forgive each other. No, we can't just forgive and forget and all be one and just fight Trump, because it's not just Trump. There's something that's deeply ingrained and embedded in American society, and it's highly problematic. It needs to be rooted out, and it's not going to happen by just forgiving and forgetting neoliberal, Democrats and just saying like, okay, we all got to fight Trump. Because quite honestly, when what's her name, Betsy Davos is giving a speech and she's naming people like Andy Cuomo and Cory Booker as among her favorite people, her favorite Democrats, we have a problem. I mean, like, the fact that we're content on trying to get rid of Trump, but getting rid of Trump means we get stuck with Pence, who ideologically is far worse in many areas. But I mean, we have a problem.
But it's not even that's respectability politics. Pence doesn't say bad. He never said pussy on TV. But at the same time,
made it criminal for women to get abortions.
Yeah,
So
but,
I mean,
but
like,
that doesn't matter. Penn speaks well. He does speak very well. He's very articulate. But like, and that's the danger, because it's not just you said, it's not amnesia. It's
Southern drawl.
It's not amnesia. It's not just amnesia. It's selective amnesia, and it's selective enforcement of the rules. It would be different if it is a selective forgetting. Like I said, we have forgotten the sins of George W. Bush, but we remember the sins of Ralph Nader.
Yeah,
and it's how do you do that?
Though, right? That's intentional, because if you think about this, like, oh God, the only thing I could think, I can't use women as an example, because that would totally ruin our show. But if you think about, you got somebody, right, and you want to get somebody else, of course you're going to cake that new person. You're going to cake them and treat them like they're the best thing. And this is what Democrats have always wanted. Democrats have always wanted to be Republicans. At least the last 40 years worth of Democrats, they always wanted that particular coalition. And so they're going to treat the people that they could take advantage of, they take for granted. They think the progressives are, they literally said this throughout the entire primaries. Oh, they'll fall in line with Hillary Clinton because they got nowhere else to go. This means that you are the jaded lover. They don't really want you anymore. They just kind of kick you to the side. So what do? You clean yourself up, you put yourself on Tinder, and you go out and find somebody new. And that's what progressives need to do.
That's what I did. Except I was the one doing the dumping, and that's what the left needs to do. They need to dump the Democratic Party. It's just like, it might hurt a little bit, like it sometimes it hurts worse to dump than it does to be the dumb B.
We have to dump them enough to, at a bare minimum, we cannot not have an independent progressive coalition that can be active on the local level as well as the national level, and just purely doing everything the Democrats have failed to do. We need to be a complete separate entity. And if at that point they want to come to the negotiating table and take our demands, then we can talk
exactly.
But
that's exactly right. It's time for some progressive self-care, and what that means is we dump the Democratic Party, and if they continue to act the way they do, they will stay where they are, and if they don't come to us, then we will have nothing to do with them. They'll just be the opposition. And it's not that the Democrats, the Democratic establishment wants to be Republicans. They are Republicans. Well, they are conservative. What they want is they want to have the morally righteous high ground, rather, at least when it comes to intellectualism and minorities and oppressed peoples, but they also want the money. They want to be
Brandon, I agree. Trying to end the show, man.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
Now everybody can stop talking shit about how much I talk, because Brandon talks way more sometimes than I do.
Oh, they know that.
Energizer bunny.
It links. It's like, where's the break?
And he doesn't even breathe. And he's like, how long can you hold your breath underwater? Like 10 minutes?
I can't swim. You crazy. I can't swim.
Let's go around.
He's black and Asian. He was. I
knew somebody. I wasn't going to be the one. Let's go around.
You should have never told us you were Chinese, dude. Never.
Before you get us on.
That's because David asked me why my eyes were closed. Like, why are your eyes closed, bro? Like, what?
Eyes off my shadow before we get in trouble. All right, get some last words in here. Closing statements, starting with David, since you're the man behind the curtain. Well, the radio audience heard you, so let's leave it there. The radio audience heard you loud and clear. Let's go to Nick.
I just wanted to say that I just have some questions out there I want to ask. Like, these things that we run into when we're talking about politics, a lot of this stuff is manufactured. So probably on Monday, I'm gonna have a show dedicated specifically to this, and we're gonna talk about it. I want everybody to join me there. We'll be having one Monday, special edition, to Takedown. Let's go.
All right. Brandon, you're up.
No, Noah can go first. Ladies first.
Nah, Brandon, I called you, dude. We'll go, Brandon.
Good night.
We're going in reverse seniority. I guess. Actually, if we're doing seniority, then David probably would go second to last or last, because he's out here grinding just as hard.
Follow me on Twitter at Pretty Bad Lefty. Have a good night, everyone.
Did we hurt you? You okay, Brandon?
I don't have feelings.
You don't have feelings?
I'm gonna buy you some pretty chopsticks, okay?
In a gong? Gonna buy me some chopsticks and a gong?
Holy God! Holy cow! Right past me. Holy shit! This is not what progressives do. All right. Anoa, can you give us a non-racist
politics
closing statement, please?
What? My daughter has her own personalized chopsticks. Like what? She not Asian. There's a Japanese tea set too.
This is
This is what happens. This is what happens when you become too familiar with your colleagues and you become like family. You talk shit like
we're part of family and company. Like
you guys. Well, they not. I mean, it's just, they family too. So anyway, good night, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. A little extra longer. Thank you again to those who donate, support. Thank you if you donated to the fundraiser. Thank you so much, and make sure you guys tune in this week to the rest of the shows. And then also tune in next week to our coverage. And if you do have $5, $10, $15, $20, or $100, shout out to Patrick, because I saw Patrick in the chat room earlier. Patrick, I don't know if Patrick's donation is public or not, but
Patrick be holding it down.
Patrick dropped a big wad on us, so thank you very much, brother. Yes. And then shout out to Natalie as well. Excuse me, I kept hitting my microphone. Natalie dropped a huge load as well. So,
anyway, I'm not gonna
really. Are you joking with that? Are you messing with me?
Okay, so with that, I'm going to end a little differently tonight, because this has clearly not been the
and so you said it was politics and grits when we first came on. I mean, you confused me. We have too many shows.
This is politics and grits all day long. Actually, I did put that in the title.
You're confusing me. We have too many shows.
We do, and we do too much. But I'm Benjamin Dixon. You guys know where to find me, and we are out with this. This has been not the Benjamin Dixon Show, but this has been Politics and Grits. And we'll catch you next time, ladies and gentlemen. I'm assuming you guys can hear that. I'm just assuming.
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.thebenjamindixonshow.com to register for our blog, join the Progressive Army, and support The Benjamin Dixon Show. It's Ben Dixon! If you like this episode, be sure to share, like, and subscribe.
Consider becoming